Good morning, RESO. Hope everybody's doing well. I don't see anyone wearing sunglasses, so trust you're in bed tucked in by 9 p.m. last night. I know most of us were here. Welcome to the Technology Crossing Borders session. Really excited for this. We have Nikolas Provencher and Kerry Rakuson from Centris. I'm particularly excited about this session here for a couple reasons. One, we're coming off two wildly successful international MLS forums with another one teed up here for Toronto in September. And this session here is important because I think there's a little bit of a misconception about what the goal of the International MLS Forum is. And despite the name, it's not to set up and build MLSs around the world. It's to create a unified global data standard, which RESO is that standard. And so, I've worked in this space for 7 years. I've worked with stakeholders in 90 countries around the world. And this kind of thought always resonates with me is we would go in there, we would say, this is how we do it in the US. And they would say, thank you, but we've been selling real estate longer than you've been a country. I'll see you later. So with this, the RESO standard gives everybody a stakeholder role in this. And it kind of has gotten me to understand that if this is going to be successful, if we're really going to expand the way that we need to meet them where they are. And so this session right here, again, very excited for it because Centris has done this and do it continuously of taking these disparate data sets and pulling them into the RESO format. So I'm going to stop talking and hand it over to the experts here, but Kerry, go ahead.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm hoping this is as exciting as the water in my bathtub. So if you guys want to talk afterwards about this instead of the water in my bathtub, happy to do that. So I want to tell you a little bit about the story about how Centris got here and why we maybe have solved some of this puzzle a little quicker than it has happened in the past. So I think you guys can all relate to this. So just for clarity, Centris is the technology MLS provider. Like we are like you in the audience that call yourselves MLSs in the province of Quebec. But we didn't start out that way. We started out with 12 real estate boards that ran local MLSs. So we started out with 12 systems. We were all over the map, with Greater Montreal Real Estate Board being the biggest. We've always had development in our DNA. Gary was talking about, you don't have to be a development shop, but we've always been a development shop. Currently, we have over 45 development roles within our organization. Part of that is driven because of language. And that we always had to we couldn't get things out of the box. So we're really language experts and multilingual solution experts. So we did some decision making. Basically, we made the decision. The Greater Montreal Real Estate Board stood up and said, this is ridiculous that we have 12 organizations. We are all spread around the map. We need to come together. But they also said, I think it's kind of crazy that our tech group is caught up in all this association politics. So how about we separate? We're going to create a brand. So we became Centris, and they stayed the Greater Montreal Real Estate Board. So the technology arm had a brand. From there, they said to the province, look, this is what we're going to do. Come, be a part of us. Let's work together. Let's find the solutions. Well, we had 12 different data sets. We had 12 different ideas of what the local market needed, and we had no standard. So we basically separated and then consolidated. So Centris got service to all those 12 organizations. There is now one association and a couple holdouts who are still their own local boards. So basically the province separated to come together, came together, and our brand was born. That took about 5 years. Like, it wasn't an overnight thing, but this is way back years ago. Then we started focusing on what do we need as a technology arm to really do this well. So our governance is completely different than the general governance we see in North America. We have some brokers on our board, but our board is made up of venture capitalists and lawyers and other industry CEOs and experts in innovation. So we have put together the governance package that allows us to operate like a real technology group. We focused in on technology and solutions that made a difference for productivity to our members. And basically, we created a consumer portal. We're the #1 search real estate portal in Quebec, and we range #2 and #3 across the country, even though we only have Quebec data. We created a productivity hub for our agents to use so they can streamline their work and come to one place and really understand how to connect to everything. We're not replacing our third-party vendors. We're not replacing our services in a lot of ways. We're plugging everything together. And that was really our focus in those early days of coming together. Well, then, sort of 2019 came around, and we were like, hey, I think we're ready for some expansion. Like, let's get this done. So we looked at, are we using interoperability properly? Are we partnering? Is there opportunity for partnership? Well, what we realized was our provincial standard, we developed one provincial standard to bring those 12 together, didn't work in this world. Like, every vendor had to do a lift. So we were like, you know what? It's time to embrace RESO and take RESO with us. And what that allowed us to do is we have a regional provincial consumer portal in BC for real estate boards out there. We've partnered with Stellar MLS, big shout out to their group. They're great to work with on our productivity hub, so they're using that now, multilingual. And we also have a really exciting partnership with MLS Europe, where we're gonna launch the consumer portal in Belgium, France, and the Caribbean. So this is really exciting times for us.
This slide is so interesting because the 2003, 2008 evolving box there is kind of what the world is having this conversation right now. Do we build our own? You know, MLS Europe on there, they're a little different story. I don't want to take anything away from Nikolas and his talk, but you know, this is a conversation that the entire world is having right now, and they know they need standards in some way, shape, or form. Do we build a small regional one or national one, or do we join a bigger one? And so you hit it right on the head, and this is starting to play out exactly like this all over the world.
Exactly.
On to you, Nikolas. Yep.
So at some point, yeah, like Kerry mentioned, we chose to say, okay, we need to go to RESO. So we need to implement RESO to be able to collaborate with vendors. And like Kerry mentioned, we have two products that we were pretty confident we were able to export. But while we were using our own standard, that was not a possibility. So the first thing we did, so we need, first of all, our web API to be RESO compliant. So we worked really hard. We started going to Transport Workgroup, and we worked, because we're a bilingual shop, we need to implement French and English. So first order of business for us was to make sure that the multi-language part of RESO was working for us. And I'm going to give a great shout out to Transport because they were welcoming and that allowed us to contribute. And at the end of the day, it worked really well for us. So we worked hard to make the web API certified. Once we got that, our first customer for the web API, for the Centris web API, was our own products. So we switched the productivity portal and the consumer portal to be RESO compliant. So what gives us the ability and the experience is, okay, so we're distributing our data, but now we know how to consume also a RESO feed. That came really practical when we signed the partnership with Stellar, because we haven't consumed an external feed previously. At the end of the day, we were able to integrate the MLS data under 2 weeks. So even for us, we were really confident that all the investment we did to getting that RESO knowledge was really, really worthwhile. Now, the new challenge is, and I think that's the big challenge that everyone wants to.
It's always a challenge.
Yeah, small challenge. MLS Europe. So as other people talked previously, actually yesterday, Europe is a different beast. With Stellar, they were using RESO already, and it's an MLS pretty similar to like us. In Europe, it's multiple organizations. They have each their own way of doing things. So we weren't trying to change how they work. We were trying to get them together to create a single database, and we chose that database will be RESO. And because at the end of the day, we were reusing our consumer portal. So you got the RESO database there. On front of that, you got a consumer portal to allow multiple regions to be within a single website. Now, the challenge is all those different organizations don't describe the same things the same way. So instead of forcing them to change, we said, okay, we're going to do the hard lift. Work with us. We're going to standardize everything inside our database, and you'll end up with a single database where it's RESO compliant. So it does come with a challenge. I'm going to go with a quick example. One of the organization only specify bedrooms. We don't have rooms, so the other one does have room. Now you need to aggregate those entities to make sure that it's worthwhile, it's searchable. So it's a small challenge like that, but each organization, each region you're ingesting, you need to make sure that, okay, the terms, how does that fit in the overall database? It's not meant to be perfect. We're not there to be, 100% RESO compliant. We're there to choose our battle and make sure that 80% of data is a lot better than none of the data. So so far it's going really well. Oh yeah, small detail, and this is a great investment on the multi-language part about in RESO. If you look at the slide, there's 7 languages. So without the multi-language effort put into RESO, that would not be practical, that would not be realistic at all. But because it's there, it wasn't even the discussion. It was easy to implement. That's the easy part.
I mean, again, this is kind of what we've been talking about, of having to meet them where they are. We can't go in there and expect to change their business rules or business culture and all that kind of stuff. All of us in this room know the advantages of an MLS. To us, it's, 100 years old now? But again, we can't expect the country to all of a sudden, overnight, flip to our formal MLS model. So what they've built here really is kind of a win-win solution for everybody. I mean, you do the hard work and the heavy lifting. They don't have to do anything, and now they're exposed to the world.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point, right? We think about it, north and south of the 49th parallel. If someone's a little different, we say, well, you got to come in our fold and be like us. And we've been doing that in an organized way for a really, really long time. They've been selling property longer than we've all been countries, and they're not going to do that. So instead of us being like, we're going to make you conform into this, we're saying, look, we'll build the engine that drives consumers' experience, but allows you to be unique and understand that uniqueness. And so, the 7 languages, well, with Stellar we did bilingual. They're Spanish and English for their consumer, or for their productivity portal. So it's really great to be able to give that type of service, and because of all of the experience we had in language from beginning, being able to do that and then working with RESO actually supporting that has been a real game changer.
Perfect. Well, we have a few minutes left here. I want to leave it to you guys for some closing thoughts, and I will say it in no pressure, but next RESO meeting, I want to see this map with 15 more badges on here on the RESO wrapper. So.
Well, I'm just going to note, we've had a relationship with the province in Vancouver, the Vancouver Real Estate Board since 2019. All of the rest of this has really come together in 2024. So we're moving at a really fast rate for all these other dots on the map. We're moving at a really fast rate, which is really, and I'm going to say this about the team. Lots of people know me here. They know I've worked with lots of teams. This team, Nikolas should be extremely proud of himself and his team, because their ability to integrate and solution find is off the charts.
And you're going to be happy with next year, because MLS Europe, there's already multiple countries planned for what's coming up. So you won't have to wait too long.
Good. Well, with that being said, here is Kerry and Nikolas's information. If you have any questions, please come and see them. And with that, we thank you for your time and can't wait to network with you guys all. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.